doing? How are you doing? Did you watch wrestling? Did you watch AEW? Did you watch NXT? What did you watch? How was your night? Let us know what you think. We're with you live here on Facebook, of course, in your podcast feed, wherever you are. Let us know what you thought of the big matches tonight. Velveteen Dream challenging for the NXT Championship. We did get a new challenger for the AEW World Title over on TNT. So much to get into, Robert. Let's jump right into it. AEW had a big street fight tonight.
Yeah, they did. The show was highlighted by a street fight between Les Sex Gods, Sammy Gueverra and Chris Jericho, with Jake Hager, against the makeshift team of Matt Hardy, Broken Matt Hardy, Damascus, and Kenny the Best Bout Machine Omega. Now, this match had a lot of high spots. Started off with a lot of bang, bang, bang. Jericho threw Matt Hardy into the back. He came out as like Hardy Boy Matt Hardy. He had the tight shirt on. Did a lot of the Team Extreme spots. They had the
tight shirt on. That Under Armour, that pre-Under Armour shirt that he had on. Yeah.
You know, that like the good, kind of like the blue that's my lighting currently kind of shirt. It was very tight. He jumped off a ladder. He was then stuffed into an icebox.
Whoa!
And came out as Damascus and Jim Ross. I'm going to harp on this a little bit. I don't think he is. I don't know how to say this. You know how you love a band.
Say it, Robert.
Right?
Say it, Robert.
You know how you love a band and you're like, okay, quit while you're ahead so you don't tarnish your legacy. Mm-hmm. I'm really at the point with Jim Ross where I'm like, all right, I love you. I know you don't mean to sound as crabby as you do, but man, he's starting to really weigh down the broadcast because it's not even that he's forgetful. He just seems so angry all the time.
Give me an example, because mind you, for everyone watching or listening here, I cover NXT in real time and you cover AEW in real time. So I didn't get to see it, so I don't have a complete take on it. But as a broadcaster, I got to ask, what did he do that got under your skin?
It's okay, for example, early on in the match, he's talking about Omega and he's just, and the fans online are always, where's the Kenny the Photokata? Where's the Kenny the... Well, he's right here and he's doing fine. Like, he just seems so angry at the opinionated audience.
Like me? Does he come on like...
No, like if you in about 30 years, if you're still that like angry, like Matt Hardy did his thing where he's Broken Man and he goes, I need you to document these moments to the camera, to the hard cam, and JR's like, we're doing that, Matt. It's called television, Matt. We're doing that. I'm like, whoa, he needs to just sort of like...
He's being playful. Maybe that's his role now, just to play the...
I mean, maybe his role, he's doing the cornet where he's just supposed to be a bitter old man. But it comes...
They're taking pile drivers and kicking out in one!
I mean, it really comes across as a little weighty. Elsewhere in the night, we had Jake the Snake Roberts, fresh out of quarantine, accompanying his man Lance Archer to the ring as Lance Archer just runs through QT Marshall. And Brandy's with QT as she's the manager of the Natural Nightmares. And Britt Baker, as she's been doing, hits QT with her shoe. Brandy takes said shoe, rifles it into the crowd. After QT...
There was a crowd?
Yeah, there was far more of a crowd. I'll get into the crowd in a little bit, but yes, there was a crowd. She rifles it into the crowd. After the match, Britt comes over the barricade and DDTs Brandy Rhodes and throws her into the ring for Archer. Archer takes Brandy by the foot, lays her out in the middle of the ring, and Jake's got a snake. And Jake drapes a snake over Brandy and almost kind of sort of started to dry hump her, which was super weird. It was definitely like, we talked about this in the news group. It was going that route and it felt weird, but definitely some heat added to the Cody Lance Archer match. By the way, Brandy cut a promo beforehand that basically said, Jake, my mama taught me you don't F with people you don't know. And you don't know me. You may know my family. You may know people that work with me. But you don't know me. And if you try to do to me basically what you did to Miss Elizabeth in 91, I will smack you back and we will have a problem. Okay. So Brandy got really in the face of Jake Roberts. I'm looking forward to seeing that element. Elsewhere tonight, Nyla Rose came back. That was cool. They're going to do a casino ladder match.
What's a casino ladder match?
We will find out next week.
Okay. Right. They always got to have a casino element. It's Double or Nothing. They have to have a casino element there.
Right. And the winner of that will get a future title shot, presumably at a future pay-per-view. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But maybe the money segment of the night for me was Jon Moxley defeats Frankie Kazarian. Out comes the Dark Order. And Dark Order jumps Jon Moxley. And then Mr. Brodie Lee walks on stage, hits Christopher Daniels in the head with a chair, by the way. Like old school, like 98, straight over the face with a chair.
No hands up?
I think hands up in time, I think.
But it looked brutal.
It looked brutal. Just because you're conditioned at this point to go, oh, like you're not supposed to see that.
And so we don't see a lot of chair shots to the head anymore. So I think even if you've been watching more than 10 years, I mean, for the past 10 years, it's certainly something that's been phased down or phased out to the point where when you do see it, it's it's cringy.
Yeah, that's the moment I had. And we had Lee hits Moxley with the discus clothesline, and he starts talking. Phenomenal promo. I would say go out of your way to seek this one out. He says, "Thank you for making yourself available to me. We need this. Evil Uno tells me you're a reasonable man, but unfortunately for you, John, you have something I want. Mm-hmm. You have the crown jewel, and I need you to understand, I am not the person you've stood eye to eye with in years past. I am a leader. We are the energy that you feel. There are no people here. This is the energy you feel, and they will do whatever I say to make sure that I get what I want." Moxley, like the little scoundrel son of a bitch that he is, picks up the mic, crawls to the mic, picks up the mic, and goes, "Dude, all you had to do was ask." And then Lee boots him in the face. The Dark Order hands Brodie Lee the championship, and Brodie leaves with the belt. Brodie Lee, Jon Moxley, Double or Nothing for the title, confirmed. What do you think about this, Kevin?
Like I said, I haven't seen the show, and I got to watch it after I hear it live. Certainly, it seems like a compelling segment to set that up, right? But it does feel a little bit out of nowhere. It does feel a little bit jarring. But I guess AEW gets to break from the condition that we get from watching WWE shows in terms of presenting challengers for titles and building people up. But I think wrestling logic leads me to believe, well, I understand that, Brodie Lee comes over to AEW with all of this expectation, the Exalted One promos, that got him there. And then he's been there for a while, and he's beaten a handful of different lower card wrestlers. I don't think beating Marco Stunt into a pulp leads you to be a world title contender, and that is no shot at Marco Stunt, but Marco has a role in AEW, all right? And I don't think it's near the top of the card. I do have some trepidation about Brodie having the title shot now, to say. I think maybe it's something you could have done down the line a little bit further, but that's just my on the paper, comprehension of it. It's a big match. If it's a match where you want to lure over the WWE fan, the WWE casual fan, this is a match to do it. I thought it was very, very keen of saying we're going to take two WWE names that have converted over here under new names and new attitudes and fresh takes, and we're going to put them in a title match. There's two different roads you can take on that. It's certainly divisive. If you're going to hate on AEW for this, you were going to do that already, right? But this is two different versions of characters that people already know, and they're doing something unique. It has, on paper, a very marquee billing to it. But I do want to know that the storyline is there. They have, just about 2 weeks now?
They got about 2 episodes of Dynamite to build this thing. I think it's smart because it allows Jon Moxley a fresh matchup with a familiar foe. It allows, 2 guys who have been in the ring together already to get in the ring together again and do it up big. I think first of all, nowhere on my bingo card last year was Dean Ambrose faces Luke Harper for this new promotion and a world title match on pay-per-view. But I given the circumstances, I'm very excited for this match, and I think it's worth seeing how it plays out.
Decarius texting in and says he doesn't agree with you. He thought AEW was great. He thought JR was great tonight. Other people texting in. If you're with us live, you guys can get your comments on screen. If you're with us live for the first time, shout out where you're watching the show from. If you're with us on the live stream, if you're with us on the podcast, we love you guys. Hit us up on Twitter at Wrestlezone.com. Saul texting in here saying the second coming of Bruiser Brodie is upon us. He liked it. Joe Cordova says Brodie Lee is the Bray Wyatt want to be. He wants to be Bray Wyatt.
Well, I mean, all right, I want to be playful, but I got nothing for that. That's a stupid take, pal. It really is. It's dumb.
Once again, Robert DeFelis, enemy of fun.
I'm the enemy of stupidity in this case. Like, that's a dumb take.
All right, what about this one here? Michael Woodson says Brodie Lee will be the champ, but not this soon. Is he good? Let's talk about that. You put him up there. Brodie Lee comes in as a cult leader. He has literally a squad of minions, not the fun ones from the animated movie, but minions, masked spooky perverts. Okay, he has a whole cult of spooky perverts behind him against a man who's perverted with violence, and Jon Moxley. What are the chances of Brodie Lee right now winning that title?
I think Michael Woodson has a plus take. I do think Brodie Lee will be champion. It will not occur this soon. I think we're gonna have to wait a few years. Maybe not a few years, but maybe at least 1 year.
Herm the Germ. All right. I almost said German. No, Herman Takar texting and saying sorry, but it's Dean Ambrose and Luke Harper. He still thinks they're Dean Ambrose.
Well, again, I did not see that coming, but these guys are good, and what a better way to get that WWE stink off of you, for lack of a better term, by doing this match.
I think so too, and I think kind of that's the point of why they're doing the match. They want you they want to convert over WWE fans, right? You obviously want WWE fans to watch your show. You want wrestling fans that have been watching TV to watch your show, but you want to give them something different. So you need the appeal of established WWE names, but you need them to feel different. So I understand what they're going to go for, but that's a lot of work to do with all these other variables and the Goon Squad. There's a lot that could, there's a lot of storyline things that couldn't click here,
I'm seeing a lot of takes in the comments about, they're pushing Brodie too quickly. AEW is just becoming WCW, taking ex-WWE guys. Guys, what do you want? You can't main event a pay-per-view right now with Jungle Boy against MJF. They're going to fight at the pay-per-view. It'll be a great match, but you have to have those established stars. You have to have some kind of star power to say, hey, our business is not just good, it's where everybody wants to be. Here are these guys who are fresh off WWE television, and now they want to establish themselves for our top title. You can't just be like, well, I want something new, so we're going to put Pineapple Pete in the main event against Marco Stunt. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. Memes aren't main events, guys. Got to remember that.
And that's why nothing ever happened with Rusev.
Here we go. Speaking of Russo, Fabrice texting here saying, so basically AEW becomes WWE Biz, taking ex-WWE wrestlers and making them fight each other. That's his take here.
Yeah, I just don't agree with that.
All right, new viewers, if you're with us, shout out where you're from. We have people watching from the Amazon rainforest all over the world. Wrestlezone worldwide, baby. Especially if you're with us for the first time, want to get you on screen here with us. Let's get into WWE NXT in a minute, but what's your overall on AEW Dynamite? They're in Florida. Did you like the vibe in Florida?
Loved it. We didn't get into this. Sean Spears had an air horn. There was a lot of noise in this crowd. Like,
do you think at some point they're just like, we need everybody out there make as much noise? Give
maybe. I mean,
noisemakers you get at a kid's party when you go to a kid's birthday.
Yeah, it was kind of doing that. It's Tyler Treese said in a group chat that it's making him a little uncomfortable because they were maybe not adhering to social distancing to the best of their abilities.
I saw a GIF on socials, and it looked like there was not like a ton of people around the ring, but like a lot, like enough to the point where it's like, oh, that must be noisy.
And that's another thing real quick. JR just went off on this tangent about, and we are practicing social distancing, okay? Like, everybody here is being safe.
What is your thing with JR tonight?
Because it was, what my thing with JR is, after a couple of weeks of Jericho and Shivani, this was very apparent that, like, he kept getting scatterbrained, and just a lot of his takes were just, like, angry. They weren't even fun. They were just like, Ugh! And everybody's worried about their push, Kevin. It's just like,
come on, Jim, what about my push? I love when he talks about that.
It's like, take it easy, JR. I love JR.
Grilling with JR. His podcast with Conrad Thompson is a great podcast. It is like really, really good in terms of the depth. And I love when he bitches about people coming and bitching at him like 25 years ago about something. It's pretty fun. But overall,
7.5. This is a really fun show.
You give it a 7.5.
Really fun show. It felt like, all right, we're getting back to quality here.
Mm-hmm. Now, is that an inclination that maybe you thought the show had been lacking some quality recently?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yes.
All right.
Like, they weren't feeling the same. It was different. It was live. It was a cool vibe. There was pyro. There was a lot of fun. It was fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get over to WWE NXT over on USA. Plenty on this show. The planned debut of long-acclaimed, long-anticipated WWE convert, formerly Killer Kross in Impact Wrestling, the most anticipated debut in WWE in quite some time, Karion Kross. We also had a big main event with Adam Cole taking on the challenger of Velveteen Dream. And in action, the NXT Interim Cruiserweight title picture. Charlotte Flair defending the women's title against Io Shirai. A lot of matches on this show. So a lot of short matches, but effective ones that told a lot of stories in a quick amount of time. So I was okay with less action, more story, which is what I felt we kind of got, though we did get some really, really good matches here tonight. I thought the main event was strong. You did need to find a way to keep that title on Adam Cole. I don't think we're going to see that title change hands on TV right now. I think they want you to tune into the big event, whatever they're going to build to on the network with. It's the next takeover, obviously with this no fans era that's up in the air. But the main event was a wishy-washy finish. The Undisputed Era got to get down to that ring, but Dexter Lumis.
Herbie. Tell that spooky perverts. Dexter Lumis
he's a spooky pervert.
Just like really creepily crawls from under the ring and just barricades them off. Dream hit the Purple Rainmaker. Should have gotten the 3 count, but didn't because the referee was down. Adam Cole takes advantage. Adam Cole keeps the gold. I am surprised because now I am out of options. Who takes the belt from Adam Cole?
Well, it was also a dusty finish, so there could be some ruling that, Velveteen Dream gets another shot because when the referee was down with the interference, he got that pin. I pinned you, but the referee wasn't there to count it, right? You always have that old Carney go back to, that old dusty pull the switch and we get to come back to it. I don't think they're done with Velveteen Dream and Adam Cole. I do think there's a little bit more gas in the tank. And it was a good match. It was a strong match where I felt like it. Here's the thing. A lot of people get mad when they do these dusty finishes, right? And this was a dusty finish. And you get mad on the surface. But think about this. Now you want to see someone get that title off of them. Isn't that the idea? You're supposed to be compelled to the next episode. So I was compelled to think like, God damn, Adam Cole, you son of a bitch! Like you got another one away. And I got that Randy Orton like, oh man, come on again, like you get that, but that's the point, right? That's the point they're supposed to give you, and if that point is drilled in, then the story has become effective. Now, if it's done that and it's redundant, then yeah, I could see it. It is getting close to that though. Undisputed Era, the Goon Squad coming out and saving Adam Cole and get him. They've done that enough, but Loomis coming in is kind of like they did this last week and it shook me. 2 weeks ago when they did the tag team finish, and it was supposed to be a different scenario, and Loomis was just there, and I don't know why yet. But for a guy who's just brought up, Saul bringing this up, he's an interesting character. He's not saying a whole lot. And then you have Velveteen Dream, who's a very interesting character. They're very much, they come out and you know who they are and what they're about. And Loomis is kind of like, has this weird like Dexter vibe. Have you seen the show Dexter? And he comes out with the music that sounds like Stranger Things. And Velveteen Dream is basically a wrestling version of Prince. Very different characters, but the pairing to them could be interesting. And it's interesting they're doing it with a singles title. They're taking pieces you haven't seen put together and doing some different things with them. And I'm interested in it. But I do want to see what they're doing with that title. I don't know what favors this does for the title, but it does make me more compelled to see Velveteen Dream trace Adam Cole a little bit more. I'm on board with it. Charlotte Flair versus Io Shirai, another dusty finish. Charlotte just couldn't get past Io. They were fighting. She couldn't get it on her. She couldn't get that figure four on her. She couldn't get the pin on her. And Io was sticking in the fight, and Io got hit with a kendo stick. That's it. Charlotte Flair's out of the match. Now, obviously, who is internet wrestling fans' persona non grata with female wrestlers? It's Charlotte Flair.
Oh,
like
yeah.
they treat her like she is the golden goose of WWE, and they gotta hate her, and they gotta let you know that they hate her.
To be fair, Charlotte is the golden goose of NXT.
Russell Haddock's texting an unpopular opinion. Charlotte Flair is as dominant as her dad was in the NWA, WCW, and WWE, and as dominant as Chris Jericho has been for WWE. Yes, she certainly has been dominant. She's definitely one of the biggest stars the last, 10, 15 years. And I would argue anyone who wants to challenge that isn't paying attention. They're just picking favorites, right? And that's okay. And you're supposed to care that way. And you're supposed to not want her to have the title. And so sound off on this here. She gets out of it with a kendo stick. Now, obviously, it's another thing. They did this a couple times tonight. I liked it. Where the match made you feel like, oh, you son of a Charlotte, why? Ooh. And then Rhea Ripley came out. I was like, oh, okay. Immediately, total 360. You in 60 seconds, you went from, come on now, to, all right, triple threat. And Io was getting into Rhea's way right away. They got pulled apart after the commercial break. A triple threat, Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai on paper. That sounds like a much more interesting match than anything else they've had. Io and Charlotte was exciting, but you didn't get the impression that Charlotte was going to be toppled for the title so quickly. Now, triple threat, that's a challenge. That adds something. There is wavering measure there. So I enjoyed it, and it reintroduces Rhea Ripley, who had a clean loss at WrestleMania, but a competitive match nonetheless. And it allows Charlotte to be conniving, which is the most interesting version of her. So I'm on board with it. I liked it. And the interim cruiserweight title match, Kushida advanced a little bit in the block competition, defeating Jake Atlas. Cut a little promo where he used his old time splitter gimmick on his wrist tape. I thought that was kind of cool. But speaking of time, Karion Kross, Scarlett Bordeaux. Have you seen the entrance? You need
I have not
see the entrance.
I've seen a still shot of Scarlett, and brother, she's looking real good.
Oh, man, I'm going to tell you this. They came out in black and white. Then it turned to red. The whole ring was covered in fog. They have an incredible theme song. You have Scarlett lip syncing along with the theme song. Killer dominatrix type outfit. Quick squashing match. This is pure WWE presentation. All the gaga, all the bells, all the whistles, a lot of different things here. The cool gimmick of pray and fall, and the apocalypse language, and his presence and his way to dial in. This is how you debut.
I'm
how
currently
you
watching this entrance on YouTube so that I can get the full experience. Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, it's like nothing else going on in WWE. It looks very badass.
Mm-hmm. And that's what you want. You want a badass, apocalyptic heel who has a different aesthetic. The combination, the words that Morrow gave them, the tandem of terror, and like those cool kind of like Marvel comic billings that he likes to give people. Wrecking people. Cool finish, the cross jacket sleeper, the over the head suplexes. This guy looks like a superstar.
Right off the bat,
I also think he made the right decision going to WWE by saying this because of the way it was presented.
I'm gonna just jump ahead 5 years. They better never split these two on screen. Like, I just watching this entrance, they look phenomenal. This fall and pray thing, I already get it. And it's been about 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the best thing NXT's done in a while. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of money to be made here.
Yeah, it was really wild, man. And I saw people on Twitter lose their mind. He was trending in the top 10. Along with AEW Dynamite and all these different things. That means you penetrated the conversation. You know, you move the needle a bit there. And I think this is a guy that we're talking about in the title picture of NXT before the end of the year. Is that out of line? I think he did that with Luke Harper, Brodie Lee a little bit too quickly. But I'm saying before the end of 2020, he's involved.
I think Ciampa, Karion Kross is a very likely captain War Games. That's how far ahead I'm looking here, and I can see this. That was phenomenal. I just watched the entrance, and I think, wow, you've made 2 stars. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if you're anybody, I don't want to single out any particular company, but if you maybe slept on these two, woo,
or if you're Impact. Where Killer Kross...
You named companies. I wasn't going to do that.
I'm naming them now. Well, Killer Kross wanted out of Impact Wrestling, all right? And he wanted out big. And he didn't want to bleed, and he didn't want to do his things. And they held him, and they iced him until his contract was done. And Scarlett got out of Impact to go to WWE. If you're them, I think you make this debut. You see this reaction. Also, note this. What do you think that reaction would be with a crowd? They're getting this chatter without a crowd.
I think it enhances it. To be fair, I think this is one of those gimmicks that is enhanced without a crowd because they would be getting wildly cheered. And I think the fact that there was silence outside of the theme music really added to the ambiance of what they're trying to do.
Stephen Chambers bringing this up. Of course, Ciampa technically made sort of like a non-in-ring debut weeks back, taking out Tommaso Ciampa backstage in a really cool backstage segment. I think, you have Ciampa versus Kross, all right? You have Finn Balor. We'll get to him in a minute. He's looking for somebody to fight who attacked him backstage. A lot of this backstage fighting things. You still have a little bit more Cole and Dream. You have a triple threat with the women. You have the new undisputed bros, broserweights of Timothy Thatcher and Matt Riddle. They want Imperium, so you kind of already have a pay-per-view card coming together here really, really quickly, don't you?
I think because there will be a takeover style event before SummerSlam. Whether or not there is a crowd of any size is yet to be determined, but I think we have to be prepared for the August takeover just in case.
Johnny Gargano got past Dominic Dijakovic, and overall, a really, really strong episode of NXT. I'm giving it an 8. I'm giving this an 8 because of that debut, because of the strong main events, because of things they set up, things that made me want to watch more NXT. And if a TV show leaves you wanting to watch more, then they did a great job, right? Nothing bad there. Overall, really strong night of wrestling in general. If you just joined us, we covered NXT and AEW. You can get full results at Wrestlezone.com. Do want to get into this question as we jump into the news of the day. AEW got themselves into a little bit of legal trouble. Laura Rock wants to know about this lawsuit with the state of Maryland. What's going on, Robert?
Former WCW announcer Chris Cruz is what is going on. Chris Cruz was heavy into having the Maryland State Athletic Commission look into AEW following the violence of the Full Gear event in November. And Chris Cruz went on Facebook today. I'm just going to pull that up real quick. And it says AEW fined $10,000 by the Maryland State Athletic Commission. And really, Chris Cruz just basically said, this is chump change to a billionaire, but, it's all going to be out there. It's all going to be public. And now it is. I don't know. I don't get why this is an issue. Like, AEW and wrestling, they don't need an athletic commission. It's not a sport. I don't know.
It's not a sport, but it is entertainment. So I do think this opens up the conversation of how should pro wrestling be regulated, if regulated at all, by any outside governing body, right? And that's been going on for decades. That's why, Vince McMahon, in 1989 pulled the cover back and said we're entertainment, and it became such a controversial force in the wrestling industry. And this is why he was trying to go national and buy out the territories. And people said, he's killing the business, right? The business has been different. People know it's a show. But in that same regard, then, if you then have full now generations of fans that know its performance, think about it this way. Could you do a Disney on Ice show where people bleed? I don't know if people would want that. So it opens up this thing now, especially now with COVID-19, you're going to see more state regulation have some oversight on wrestling. It wouldn't surprise me if that happens. It wouldn't surprise me. You and I were talking on our most recent episode. We covered this in a most recent one. Go back and listen to it in the archives. We talked about IWA Mid-South Wrestling is going to present death matches in July. They're promoting them. Those are going to be violent. There's going to be bloody. They're going to feature a bunch of different, car crash wrestling, light tubes and glass being broken around the ring, all these different things in July while we're dealing with the COVID-19 epidemic. Now, mind you, this match they got fined for happened well before we dealt with the new normal that we're in. But with the transmission of this virus in circumstantial, like how close we are to people, what those things are going to be like, you're going to watch this. And it's going to look it's not a good look to have this happen now if you were wanting to avoid legal trouble. If somebody wants to come after you, they got more than a few bullets to do it, and I'm saying it's dangerous if you want to try and keep doing stuff like this. So that's why, we had the street fight tonight on, AEW. If that got, verged in that direction, I'm not saying I'm against that type of stuff happening. I'm saying the more doors you knock on, the more they're going to open up some problems here. So, and there's more risk here that legally in this new time that we're going in. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's more pressure. WWE's been fined before. They've been fined for blood in certain states, and certain states are different than others. I think I fined in I want to say Kentucky like 10 or 15 years ago for something. So it's there. It's a possibility. And if you're going to do this type of stuff, you're going to pay for it.
Well, here's the funny thing. This legal document here says the following actions are prohibited: unsportsmanlike or physically dangerous conduct. It's still wrestling, weird, but whatever. And it says deliberately lacerating oneself or one's opponent, or by any other means introducing human or animal blood into the ring. So perhaps they go back to Baltimore and just cool it on the blood, or maybe they just don't go back to Baltimore for a while. Who knows? It's not like they're going to stop bleeding, because last week Dustin Rhodes cut himself open pretty deep.
Yep.
So blood is a part of wrestling as far as AEW is concerned. They have a match called Blood and Guts.
Yep.
So, I mean,
do you get what I'm talking about here?
I get what you're saying. I think that Maryland State is going to miss out on some stuff.
You know who else is going to miss out on stuff? Advertisers. So I'm going to say that. And I'm not saying these things, guys, to like be a buzzkill. I'm not trying to be enemy of fun like Robert. I'm saying this because this is the new time. It may be something that makes people go like, "Oh, wrestling's fun, wrestling." But I was like, "Oh, blood, guts, now." Do we need that now? Like me making that noise sounds annoying, right? But you know who's going to be more annoyed by it? Tony Khan. You know, the conversations he's going to have with the TNT sales team are going to be a little bit more tenuous, maybe, than they were a few months ago because the rules are changed. All right, the lines have been drawn differently, and you got to adapt. I don't know if putting on an event called Blood and Guts is adapting.
Well, I got news for you, pal. Blood and Guts is wrestling. So I think that match is happening the second they get fans back in an arena.
Oh, I agree. But I'm the devil's advocate. I'm the devil. I am the
you are the health inspector on this.
I am the health inspector. Yeah. But no, it's I'm saying you're taking a risk and people are a little bit more at unease about this stuff. Doing a show when we get to the time where we can start doing shows in front of fans. Am I out of an unreasonable perspective to say, hey, the more you push the envelope, the easier it is for the envelope to be ripped up in front of you, you know?
Yeah, it's very likely. I think AEW is just going to continue putting on shows in the same vein that WWE is continuing to put on shows, but AEW is the Rebel Underground promotion, so they're going to have more.
Are they the Rebel Underground promotion?
When they've only been around for a year and they are going up against WWE, they are in the minds of the people and they know how to play that well.
The Rebel Underground, I don't know.
I defy you, and I know what you're saying, but I defy you to find a main star.
They're great. I'm not taking shots at them. I'm just saying, come on. Like, everyone wants to lionize themselves. Someone's trying to hold me down. The commissions are coming for me. Well, dude, come on. You knew what you were doing. This is a state where you can do that stuff, and you get in trouble for it if you do it there. And that's why you got to know what the sports commissions you're dealing with, right? I think that's fair. Michael Woodson saying Maryland is the reason why CZW, very known for their very, very violent wrestling, quit doing the tournament of death because of the athletic commission. Yeah, a lot of indie wrestling is going to get in trouble for that. But then you bring up a great point. AEW, they have $10,000. Yeah, they got $10,000 for a fine. Does that mean they want to pay it? Does that mean they want to start setting the precedent where they're going to pay for those things? I don't think so. I think there's probably a wrestler in that show that could have made some more money if they weren't fined $10,000. There's some money. There's some money to be shaking around there too.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point.
Steven Changer is saying, "I am Dr. Fossey." No, I am not.
Kevin is the furthest thing from Dr. Anthony Fauci. And
does that make you Trump?
No comment.
You just wish. Lion Robert.
I will say this. I think the great Vince McMahon and the great Tony Khan, yes, the Khan, he's a great guy, the Khan.
The great Tony Khan.
And I think they're going to keep doing shows. I think as much as you want to lionize AEW, they are doing the same exact thing WWE is doing.
Yeah.
And maybe even more risky because of the amount of people they have in such close proximity. I don't know. I'm sure somebody out there feels that way. It is what it is. This is the new normal. Get used to it. We can't keep saying, well, it's so staggering at this point. We've been dealing with it for almost 2 months. So think about that. This SmackDown will be 2 straight months of no crowd wrestling. So this is just what we've been dealing with, and I think it's time to just roll with the punches.
We'll talk about the no crowd thing, and you'll have some perspective on this because you're in Florida. I'm in Illinois. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. How soon could crowds be coming back to wrestling, specifically in the state of Florida? We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but I do want to touch on this. We're in the second season of the Vice TV documentary series, Dark Side of the Ring. They started with the Chris Benoit episode. Go into our archives. Go Google it. Wrestlezone, Dark Side of the Ring. Our interview with Evan Husney pulls back the whole curtain and talks about how hard it is to get some of these wrestlers to do interviews, to really, for lack of a better phrase, do the most beautiful shoot documentary you could think of. And a lot of guys shoot here. I thought the Dr. D. David Schultz episode last week was fantastic, but the one this week, ooh boy, the Herb Abrams and the UWF, cowboy boots and cocaine, an insane money mark guy. He spends too much money, promotes shows that don't draw, runs the MGM Grand where they can't even fill the floor, and Vaseline and drugs and hookers and Mick Foley. And this was quite the episode. Did you get to catch it at all, Robert?
I caught one clip on Twitter, and that was Herb Abrams died doing two things he loved: hookers and cocaine.
Yes,
and I just...
That's B. Brian Blair from the Killer Bees bringing that up, by the way, too.
I just, wow, what a line. Hookers and cocaine. I mean, that is wrestling in the 80s, is it not? What a wild world.
Dude, it's my other favorite line of the night, and this isn't a spoiler because the story doesn't end well. And Herb Abrams loses his life. Go watch this. He loses his life, and it's insane. And I'm not making fun of some Light of the Dead, but they asked Mick Foley, who was involved in UWF, what do you think Herb would be doing if he was alive today? And he said point blank, time. And it was hilarious. It was very, very good. It's a very, very, if you enjoy dark humor, you're going to get a lot of it in this episode. Go seek it out. I do believe it's available on YouTube. Some of their episodes are officially available there. And definitely listen to the interview with Evan Husney. And he gives us more insight on the Chris Benoit episode, which I do like this second season. It is the dark side of the ring, and they are talking about some pretty controversial things. But I do appreciate the most recent episodes, specifically Dr. D. David Schultz, this one with Herb Abrams. Though it is dark, both proverbially in its billing, the show does have a little bit more levity. There's some more humorous kind of crazy things going on in the show, and I'm like, okay, all right, not everything is going to be as depressing as the Benoit episode turned out to be.
Yeah, and I think this next episode will be the Road Warriors, and the one following that will be the season finale covering the tragic death of Owen Hart. Dark Side of the Ring is really bringing it. I think really taking a special look at the world of wrestling.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen any of the episodes from the first season, go seek them out. It's a great show. Even if you're not, this is a show you can watch without acknowledged wrestling fans, whether they're casual. This is a show you can watch with a girlfriend who hates you watching wrestling. If she's going to watch a good documentary, it's good. If you like Making a Murderer, if you like a good, wild music rock and roll documentary, you're going to get it here, and you're going to get the real story in this show. And they do a good job with the reenactments and kind of out of focus shots and stuff like that. I was really enjoying it. Definitely go seek it out. Robert, any other big stories in the world of wrestling that we got to touch on before we get to the Thursday show?
Oh yeah, Revival did Jericho's podcast.
The Revolt, Robert. They're the Revolt.
They're not the Revolt, damn it. They're not. And I'm getting tired of people saying they're the Revolt. When they come out on a show and call themselves the Revolt, I will stop vehemently denying people calling them the Revolt, but they're not.
Yeah, I will deny them that.
And the Revival.
They're on Talk is Jericho. I haven't been able to listen to it. You got to catch it.
It's very good. It's
okay. I understand they did have some nice things to say about Vince McMahon, but they essentially didn't buy the story he was billing them to keep them in the company.
Well, no. They actually said we would have done the comedy angle. Like the way Vince pitched it was, well, we think tag team wrestling isn't respected. So if you want clowns, we'll be clowns. We're going to give you clowns since you don't want to respect tag team wrestling. But they simply said, we'll do it, but we're not re-signing with you. And that's when WWE made the decision to pull them from everything. So shortly thereafter, they, were taking off everything, and then they got their release. I think it was interesting that 15 months ago, they had asked for their release, and they said, we don't want the belts. We just want you to focus on tag team wrestling. And the response they got...
And the
response they got was, well, then we'll grant you your release. And then they reneged on granting them the release and just went ahead with giving them the belts.
And they got to have a run, on SmackDown?
But they didn't care. They kept that was the main thing they kept going with. They're like, we would rather lose to the champions every night than have the championships because it's seen as a nothing title. We don't care about being the tag team champions when you don't put focus on the division. That was their whole gripe. They wanted tag team wrestling to be more respected. And, they had said that they talked to somebody. They didn't name that person who truly felt in their heart that they would get more power and that things would change, but it never happened. So, who knows? But they are out of WWE. They said they're looking forward to wrestling GOD, which is Tama Tonga Tangaloa. Shout out to Ross Berman, who's anchoring Tama Tonga's new podcast.
Tama's Island is the name of the podcast.
That's right. Tama's Island. First episode dropped on Monday, and you should go check it out.
Yeah, Ross Berman, he covers New Japan Pro Wrestling for Wrestlezone. Obviously, New Japan is on a break due to the coronavirus, so I'm very, very happy for Ross. We've had him here on Wrestlezone Daily. Just there isn't a better authority on Japanese wrestling, and he's such a good guy. He deserves the opportunity.
Brother got mentioned in Sports Illustrated. Like, damn good stuff.
Good stuff. And also kudos to Nick Hausman, the creator of WrestleZone Daily, the podcast you're watching and listening to right now. He is producing that as well. So I'm very happy for them. They're really good friends of mine. I'm really, really happy for both of them. And it's a great adventure. Tom is a personality that has so much to say, and he has so many stories to tell. This is one of those podcasts where everyone's like, oh, another wrestler who's doing a podcast, right? But I think with Tom, it's different because he's seen so much. And he's been around so many players, and he has no problem saying things with the gloves off. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, so he's the good bad guy, Tom.
Yes, he's a good. That's a perfect way to describe him. He's a very, very good bad guy. And so, if you want the bad guy, you're going to get it. Go check out Tama's Island, and the first episode is quite entertaining too. So,
Revival also said they wanted to wrestle the North of Impact Wrestling. And they mentioned wanting to wrestle, of course, the Young Bucks, because that is the tag team wrestling match. I don't even know if we're still on the air. Kevin completely froze on my end.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Okay.
All right. Am I moving? Can you see me now?
Yeah, you're good. Okay. You froze for a second there. So, they want to go everywhere, but they really hammered home that they're going to wrestle the Young Bucks. We know they're going to AEW at least. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they got a dual contract to work New Japan as well, or even a freelancer deal until things settle down.
Well, that's another thing is everyone thinks, oh, you go to AEW, you're in AEW, but that isn't exactly the case. Look at Jon Moxley. He's the AEW champion. He has those options to go to New Japan a handful of times a year. He was the New Japan Intercontinental champion.
He's still the IWGP United States champion.
Thank you. But mind you, it's easy to forget that, right? And he gets to go and do those things. Jericho does too. And those are big money matches, to go out and do one match and film the promos for him and get to go do match with a lot of freedom that you want to have. And I think there's something to be said for the Revival getting to do that. I think they were a team that wanted to go and have all the big tag team build up super big main event deals that they can create that they don't feel they can create in WWE. And that's why they're out there. I do think they're going to get the deal. I do think they're going to get the deal they want. And I do think AEW is going to give it to them. And I think it does create a sense of another team, another player getting to take advantage of the fresher market that exists out of WWE. Do you think it could be a problem if the Revival isn't exclusive to AEW? They have a few exclusives, but some of these big players are really able to bend their cards and get what they want out of the deal.
I think they're bending the cards. I think they are 100% going to be in tag league, if there is a tag league this year.
That's a whole other issue. I mean, New Japan just canceled their Best of the Super Junior, so they've canceled.
They just canceled the Garden show.
Yeah,
and while AEW was on the air, they canceled the Garden show.
So that's a sad thing. It's sad, guys. But I mean, think about it. Whatever you want to do for the summer is off the table.
It's a reality check.
Yeah, it's reality.
I don't know.
I can tell you, we got some bad news here in Chicago and Illinois. One of the biggest wrestling, markets in the United States. The governor of the state of Illinois, as we're talking about coronavirus, and we'll touch on Florida here in a second because I think you got good news and I got bad news. So Illinois, the governor has laid out his Restore Illinois plan, and by the time we get to stage 5 is when you can have gatherings of more than 10 people, and so that basically limits what type of shows, live performances, concerts, sports. You can't do them until there's a vaccine or a implemented treatment. So that basically means you're not going to see wrestling in one of the biggest markets in the country for at least a year and a half.
That is some rough stuff, let me tell you.
It's rough when I consider my other job at 101 WKQX is we're trying to do stuff for concerts. We're how are we going to do these? How is this going to work? How is it going to be safe? So, but Florida has announced some great results. Even though Florida is that crazy state that had all the people on the beaches, right, back in March. Mind you, most of those people left the state. Maybe that's the issue too. And they've been having AEW came back this week to Jacksonville. WWE's been at the performance center deemed essential by the state. And your governor wants pro wrestling there. He wants the UFC. UFC going to be on pay-per-view this weekend. They're doing all this stuff, and you would think, they're going to get bad data with all these crowds still there. News coming in, Florida seems to have some declining numbers in terms of their infection rate. And it seems like they want to get back to life as normal, or at least some form of it, as soon as possible, which leads many to believe, could we still have live wrestling by July, which was the governor of Florida has said he wants.
I think it's possible until it's not. Yeah, I know that's a stupid thing to say and a weird thing to say. This virus is unfounded. It's unpredictable.
Yeah.
We need to assess the situation, and when the hotspots start coming up and the numbers start trending up, God forbid, we're going to hear a whole new different plan. I don't know. I don't know if I feel safe saying there will be live sporting events with fans in July.
Neither do I. But I'm asking for you. You're in Florida. You live there. You have a pulse.
I'm telling you what I know, and what I know is, I think, well, on the surface, I'd say we're trending downward. I think you could also see cases ramping up as time goes on.
They're coming down to New York, but they're going up in different parts of the country, so, and there's a lot of threat. We're not out of the weeds yet, guys. I know everyone's just antsy to get out, right? And get to a life that we had before, but we're not there. So I don't think there's any rush to do it.
And by the way, the scary thing about this is, and I think, again, for the sake of gravity, everything in this Florida reopening plan cites stage 4, which is the final stage, as the new normal. So this is not we are not going back to normal. This is any way you You stab it. It's the new normal. Very, very, very scary stuff.
Yeah, to say the least. You know what's not scary? You know what's delicious, Robert? Yummy in the bank. Shorty, what you drank? All them fast food mascots. Gonna be in the fast food fracas. It's back once again. 6 fast food mascots. Name them off, Robert.
Ronald McDonald, the Colonel Sanders, Burger King, Wendy of Wendy's, the Coca-Cola Bear, and the Taco Bell Dog.
They're all going to climb up that greasy ladder in a video game streaming match coming at you. All right? And the winner's going to get that golden coupon to take on the French fried fast food coupon. All right? And we're also going to have the Gobbledygooker versus the Grimace. This is going to be a live streaming, jokey, fun thing before Money in the Bank. We're trying to decide if we're going to do it on.
The goal should be to do it on Sunday, but there's also this weird thing called Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. Our moms, the people who bought us this fast food.
You know what? You know what though? I think if we can do it on Sunday, it will be done on Sunday along with some wacky Money in the Bank talk. Because remember, also Sunday you're going to see people getting thrown off of buildings and thrown into dinosaur heads at Money in the Bank. So there's that to talk about as well. Like.
We got a lot to get into. So Yummy in the Bank, we'll stream it. Let's go with Sunday afternoon. We're gonna try and get it on Sunday afternoon. We have to produce a bunch of different things before the stream goes live, so that's part of it too. We'll have that for you. Money in the Bank, I think it looks like a pretty strong show on paper. The ratings for TV have sometimes dip, but then the pay-per-views tend to be good. That has been a pattern for the past few years for WWE. I'm looking forward to it here. I hope everyone out there is staying safe. We have a big weekend ahead with Money in the Bank. We hope you watch the show with us. Tomorrow, Thursday night, we're going to have a live watch along of classic Money in the Bank matches that you can watch on YouTube. So you do the 2-screen deal, all right? And you can watch Money in the Bank from WWE's YouTube page. Don't even need a network subscription. Watch it with me here on Facebook. If you're listening to the podcast and you don't go to our Facebook page, why, dude? Go ahead and give that a like. All right. And of course, check out the podcast as well. Just dropped an interview with Darby Allin of AEW. We also have an interview with AEW World Champion Jon Moxley dropping on there as well. So go subscribe. Wrestlezone Radio. We have the Survey Says review shows. We have tons of free content. We are with you. We can't be near you, but we're with you in your ears, in your eyes. YouTube, Facebook, we got it all. We're gonna have such a good time. A lot of people thinking Coke Bear's gonna win. He's gonna be all coked up. Who's your favorite Yummy in the Bank?
I think you can't sleep on the Mad Clown. You know,
I think you're right. Ronald is due, dude. He is due. He's the top brand.
Because really, it's been like
hungry for competition.
He's been in 2 Rumbles and a Yummy in the Bank, and he hasn't won anything. They gotta keep thinking. We gotta get to the point where this clown can win, so like it can be the culmination of everything we've tried to do here. James Espanto Fernando Tuay says, do it on Saturday because if he bounces on Mother's Day, he'll be thrown out a window. I hear ya. Listen, the good thing is, James, even if we do it on Sunday, it's always going to be up in the Facebook archives. Yeah. So no matter also, when you...
we'll restream it too, so it kind of pops up on your feed. If we do it on Saturday, the 9th, May 9th, we will restream it Sunday afternoon before, and you'll be able to watch it on demand whenever you want to.
Yeah, I mean, like, no matter what, you're going to be able to watch it on demand, so just stay tuned. Mm-hmm. You'll be there in spirit, James, even if you're not there.
Don't worry. We'll do it. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. I see many of you guys have watched this entire stream.
Why?
Thank you so much. If you watch for a little bit and you tuned in later, you listen to the podcast, thank you so much. You have a lot of different options. You chose us, and I appreciate it. All right. Thank you guys for getting behind us here. We'll be back tomorrow late in the afternoon. Of course, Yummy in the Bank this weekend, Money in the Bank on Sunday. So much fun to be had. Yes, we can't be near each other, but fun can still be had because when you're watching wrestling, what do you do, Robert?
You enjoy. Oh, hold on. That wasn't good. You enjoy Wrestling.
Dude.